The marriage was never meant to be about love. For Alpha King Kale, it was duty, an alliance forged in ink and blood, binding his kingdom to another through the body of a bride he had never seen. Whispers had prepared him for disappointment. She was plain, they said, cursed, some murmured, a woman better hidden than revealed. And so he entered the throne room with a heart armored in indifference, ready to bear a burden rather than welcome a queen. The torches flared as she approached, her face veiled, her frame cloaked in modest silk. Kale sat upon his throne, watching, with the cold detachment of a king who had seen war, betrayal, and blood. Yet, as she drew closer, a faint prickle stirred along his spine. Her step was steady, her posture regal, as though the rumors that trailed her carried no weight at all. The vows were spoken, the union sealed. Only when they reached the solitude of their chamber did he reach to lift her veil. The cloth slipped free, and the air between them changed. His breath caught. She was no specter of shame, no disfigured curse wrapped in silk. Her hair spilled like liquid silver, her skin seemed kissed by moonlight, and her eyes, steady, luminous, unflinching, met his as though she had known his gaze all her life for the first time in years. Kale, the unyielding Alpha King, was left without words. But beauty, he told himself, was a dangerous mask. Power often wore a pleasing face, and the rumors of curses did not vanish simply because his bride did not look the part. He would not let awe blind him, not yet. The court, however, was less easily swayed. Their whispers grew sharper. Some envied, some feared, and some watched, with calculating eyes. A bride who defied expectation was a bride who could unsettle the order of things. It was not long before murmurs reached his ears, rumors of witchcraft, of hidden magic, of a woman whose light would one day burn the kingdom to ash. Kale dismissed them aloud, but in the silence of his chambers, he wondered he had seen a glimmer. In her gaze, something untamed, something too steady for one meant to bow. Their fragile balance shattered when Malric, the rival Alpha, struck. At dawn the horn sounded, carrying word that enemy forces had breached the border. Kale prepared, as he always did, calling his warriors to arms. Yet even before steel clashed with steel, he knew Malric's true aim was not land or conquest, it was the queen. Malric's whispers had preceded his blade, painting her as a curse meant to bring Kale's fall. "You will stay here," Kale commanded as the palace rumbled with preparation. But Leora, his Luna, lifted her chin. "It is me he seeks to weaken. If I hide, I only prove his lies." Her words rang like a challenge, and though Kale would not admit it, he feared she was right. Still he did not relent, until the battle came to their very gates. The clash shook the courtyard, steel and claw ringing through the dawn. Kale's blade carved through foe after foe, but the tide pressed heavier, Malric's raiders swelling like a flood. Fire licked the palace walls, and his warriors faltered. Then light erupted. On the steps of the palace stood Leora, her gown whipping in the wind, her arms lifted as though to the heavens. From her palms poured silver radiance, washing over Kale's soldiers. Wounds sealed, their strength surged. Their howls rose louder than the clash of steel. The enemy broke beneath them, terror on their tongues. "Witch," they cried, but their voices wavered, for the sight before them was not monstrous, it was divine. Kale froze, his sword dripping red, staring at the woman he had married. In her, he saw both salvation and danger, beauty and terror twined so tightly he could not separate them. The raiders fled. The kingdom stood, and the whispers began anew. The court was not silent long. Nobles cloaked in courtesy stepped forward, their words laced with venom. "She is powerful," one said. "Too powerful. What gift is granted without cost? Can you be sure she serves you, my king, and not a darker master?" Kale's answer was steel. "She is mine. That is all you need." "No." But even as he spoke, unease lingered. Power that could heal could also destroy. He had seen enough of war to know that gifts and curses often shared a face. That night, he found her in the moonlit gardens, her face turned skyward, silver hair gleaming. He meant to guard her, perhaps to question her. Instead, he found himself caught in the pull of her gaze. In the stillness she carried as though the world's weight could not bend her. "You watch me with suspicion," she said softly, "but also with something else you dare not name." Her words cut deeper than he expected. He moved closer, his hand brushing a strand of hair from her cheek, his breath unsteady. For the first time, he allowed himself to feel what he had denied, desire, fierce and consuming. His wolf stirred, recognizing what his pride resisted. "Why do you not fear me?" he whispered. "Because fear has ruled me all my life," she answered, "and I would rather face you than shadows." In that moment, Kale knew he was lost, but the bond that grew between them was shadowed by the storm inside her. Her power, once controlled, began to unravel. Glass shattered at her presence. Fire flared where it should not. In council, a goblet exploded without touch, crimson staining maps of war. She fell to her knees, trembling. "The more I use it, the less I can control it. Healing is only one side. The other is fire, destruction. I feared this would come." Kale gathered her in his arms as light bled from her skin, searing the air. For the first time, he feared not for himself, but for her. "I must leave," she whispered. "If I stay, I will destroy you all. No, he growled. You are my Luna. You will not run from me. Her tears glowed faintly with light. Then I must be sacrificed. The word carved into him like a blade. He pressed his forehead to hers, the storm raging around them. I will not sacrifice you, Leora. I will find another way, even if it kills me. The light dimmed, leaving scorched stone in its wake. She trembled, spent, but still his. Yet the truth could not be denied. The curse was awaked on. Malrik seized his chance. He spread lies swifter than fire that the Luna had bewitched the Alpha King, that her power was not a gift but a doom. His army swelled, fed by fear. And in the Alpha's own court, doubt grew sharper, turning eyes once reverent into suspicious glares. But Kael had made his choice. On the eve of war, he brought her to the tower where the wind howled like wolves. Her face was pale, her eyes filled with sorrow. If I stay, I will ruin all you've built, she whispered. Then let it be ruined, he said, his voice raw. I would rather see my kingdom in ashes than see you taken from me. Her breath caught. You would risk everything for me, not for you, he answered, cupping her face. For us. When the horns of battle sounded, they descended together. Warriors bowed as Leora passed, no longer whispering witch but Luna. And when the clash came, it was not one they faced apart. On the battlefield, Kael's sword struck with unyielding ferocity, and beside him Leora shone like the moon incarnate. Her light wove strength into their warriors, mending wounds as quickly as they formed, her fire burning the enemy with precise fury. Malrik's men faltered, and at last the rival Alpha fell to Kael's blade, his lies silenced forever. When silence returned, the kingdom knelt, not to Kael alone but to the queen who had once been called Curse. Breathless, trembling, Leora looked at him. I thought I was your curse. Kael pulled her close, his voice fierce with truth. You were never my curse. You were always my queen. The kingdom was his, but she was his heart. Don't. And so the tale closed, not with ruin, but with rebirth. The Alpha King, who once believed love a weakness, found his greatest strength in the woman he had been forced to wed. The Luna, once branded a curse, became the light of an empire. Together, they proved what no rival, no whisper, no power could undo. That love, when chosen and fought for, was the most unbreakable force of all.